If the decision is that your loved one will return home with the support of home care services, it's time to examine some specific questions for private duty home care companies. So, where do you go now? Choosing the right home care company can be a daunting challenge. Whom can you trust? What company will provide the best care and treat your loved one with dignity and respect? Many people who come to us are burning the candle at both ends as they worry about a parent. The company or agency you select to provide care should not add to the worries, but rather give you relief, assurance, and confidence. Consider the following 10 questions when selecting a home care provider for a loved one. I refer to them as vital signs of a healthy company. The number of years an agency has been in business is not always directly related to the quality of care given, but it does reflect upon the stability and success of the company. An experienced agency will be more likely to have support and supervisory staff to ensure that your expectations are being met. A newer agency might not have a full team of caregivers sufficient to prevent missed days of service. Longevity is not the only thing to consider, but it could reflect stability and the ability to maintain service at the levels you desire. Some states require licensing, others require certification, some require both, some require neither. The state where care is provided will determine what the appropriate licensing or certification is required. Beyond that, if long-term care insurance is used as a payer source, make certain that the agency is fully approved to provide care prior to commencing services. To be sure, it is obviously important that the agency selected can perform the services needed. For example, if transportation to medical appointments is needed, make sure that the agency can actually do that and that they are insured to do it. If grocery shopping or other errands are needed, verify that this is covered. Different agencies operate differently. The point here is to verify that the key services needed fall within what the agency can do. And you might discover additional services offered or provided that you might not even have thought of. On any given week, the news will have a story about caregiver abuse, whether in a nursing home or in a private setting. It is vitally important that the agency you select does its due diligence before hiring a caregiver. Now, that's not to say that bad people don't occasionally slip through the cracks, but you want to have the assurance that every precaution is taken. At a minimum, the agency should conduct criminal background and national registry checks, along with drug screenings. Further, past employment should be verified and, again, at a minimum, a thorough orientation and training should be conducted so that you can feel secure. This is a new person coming into you or your loved one's home. You should have full confidence that the person selected to be there is of the highest moral caliber, experienced and trained in whatever the situation they are facing. As I said, criminal background checks are essential. In fact, they are required in order for the agency to maintain general and professional liability insurance. If they are not conducted, that should raise immediate red flags. It is standard and customary for a care note to be taken during each service visit. These should be available for review by both the client and family members, ideally remaining in the client's home. These notes can give you, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story about what is going on with your loved one. In any event, you have a third party who is now observing and reporting on the situation. Some agencies make scheduled quality assurance calls and visits. To further ensure quality care, see that all caregivers are regularly and closely supervised by qualified management. How are time records kept? If grocery shopping or other errands are required, how are those expenses addressed? Many agencies have automated clock-in, clock-out procedures, and others ask that you sign timesheets. It's important to have open lines of communication with supervisory staff to ensure that evolving needs are met to your satisfaction. Make certain to get a contact name and phone number for both during business hours and after hours. It might be that there are never any issues or problems to report. If so, great! but there might be occasional questions about an invoice or the need to cancel or extend service on a particular day. Getting good contact information can be very important. And then, how are issues resolved? If there is a problem, what steps are taken to fix it? One example might be incompatibility between the client and caregiver. Will the agency introduce a new caregiver? If there are discrepancies on an invoice, how are those resolved? It might be more productive to fix the problem than to switch the caregiver. One quick story from several years ago. A retired Marine called saying our caregiver didn't know what she was doing, and he either wanted to cancel service or change caregivers. Meeting with him later that day, I discovered that the issue was that he preferred his bed made as he made it while in the Marines. The caregiver didn't know that because he never indicated it. We showed her the proper way to make a bed, and within a week he was calling to compliment her on being a good Marine. The point is, there should be a means to resolve issues that arise, but that solution might be simply to better communicate how you want things to be done. It is difficult to receive good care if different people show up every week. A good home care provider will be concerned with continuity of care. If the arrangement described involves a stranger going out to help a stranger in a strange home, run. You may want to meet the assigned caregiver prior to service commencement to ensure a good match. Even so, life happens from time to time, and your regular caregiver might be unable to work on a particular day. How will the substitute be introduced and properly briefed on your loved one's care? When choosing the home care services that are right for you, it is important that the client and family members discuss the kind of care needed with an experienced home care professional. The assessment should include physical, cognitive, environmental, meaning the home, and other areas of concern. The assessment provides a valuable opportunity for you to assess the professionalism of the company and gives the agency pertinent information from which to tailor a care plan. Is the company familiar with other services and able to make referrals or arrange for home accessibility companies, Meals on Wheels, medical alerts, geriatrician recommendations, etc.? As opposed to a phone book or trying to navigate uncharted waters on your own, the agency should be able to guide you to appropriate resources. Ask for names of people, not just the name of a hospital or organization. One good question to ask these professionals or patients: would you use this company again for yourself or your loved ones? Most agencies will keep client information confidential, but should be able to provide a few families to contact and professional references relative to your situation. Find out if there is a length of time you will be committed to the home care provider, even if you are unhappy with the care they provide. A good home care provider should guarantee care and cancel charges for unsatisfactory service. Clearly, your budget is important. You should feel comfortable that the value you are receiving is in line with the prices charged. So it's important to understand what the rates are, whether they are based on an hourly, daily, or other form of rate scale. What is their billing cycle? Is a deposit required? And, if so, is that refundable or used in some other way? Here's another quick note for you. Can you imagine calling around for a babysitter and only being interested in what the hourly rate is? Of course not. If you find the bargain basement priced agency, there might be a reason for the rates they charge. Consider the services that will be performed, the value of this service to you, and then you can better determine if the rate charged is in line with the value provided. If you find an agency, or worse, an individual, that charges far less than everybody else, there's a good reason. They're not insured, do not pay taxes, and are setting you up for potentially tremendous liabilities. On the other hand, if an agency charges far more than everybody else, find out what additional services are provided. In general, most reputable agencies will charge within $1 or $2 of each other. Detailed invoices are important. They should not only include the service time periods, but also the caregiver's name. This will give you easy reference if there is any discrepancy. Couple this with the daily care notes, and you should have a complete picture of the situation. You should receive a statement, whether you are paying with a traditional check or through an auto draft or credit card. What happens when there's an emergency with your loved one? Make certain that emergency procedures are understood and will be complied with to the letter. If the desired response to a fall is to call 911, be sure that the agency and their caregivers understand that. On the other hand, if there is a do not resuscitate order on file, and you would rather you be the one who receives the call, be sure that the agency has a copy of the DNR on file, and that they know and are comfortable with the procedure. On occasion, you will find an agency who only operates on certain days or during certain hours. You will clearly need to establish that the service schedule requested is able to be met by the agency selected. And because situations can sometimes be fluid, be certain that changes can be made to service schedules based on what might be evolving needs. My jaw dropped when I first met Jennifer and her mother, Dorothy. As we sat in Dorothy's living room, she was slumped back on the couch. They were looking to replace another agency with which neither of them was pleased. Their questions to me were directed to the issue of caregiver screening and supervision. As they developed a little trust with me, Jennifer shared that she had temporarily moved in with her mother because every morning before her caregiver arrived, Dorothy would cry and plead that she could make it on her own without any help. The issue was that the present agency simply provided poor care with untrained and ill-suited staff who were largely unsupervised. We immediately commenced services. After only a few weeks of service, we received the following from Jennifer. Only God could have assembled this team for my mom. In the midst of all that is going on, it is a constant reminder that He loves us and we are blessed. Thank you for being the person He used to bring the team together. We are all sharing some sweet times together. We've worked with scores of families through the years. This series of videos was created as a tool for families as they seek answers to the questions they have. We understand that the process can appear overwhelming at first, but really, if you keep focus on the overall goal, that is, empowering your loved one to maintain dignity and honor in the setting of his or her choice, and you have a clear understanding of their wishes, you can do this. We hope this video has made the process a little easier for you. If you want more information, you can get a copy of my book, Finding Freedom at Home, on Amazon. You can get the hard copy or download it onto your Kindle. Thank you.